Okay, let's go.
Well, hi, friends of the Coachella Valley. Jose here from The New Mindset. I'm joined once again by
Stephanie Moreira, the editor-in-chief.
And today we have a very fantastic episode for you guys. Our guest here,
Raylene Amador.
she is a fantastic mental health, would I call you a coach or a psychologist?
A therapist.
She's
Clap for that.
Welcome to our show. Welcome to our show.
Well,
Thank
Raylene,
you.
thank you so much for being here. We really do appreciate you. And I just want to right off the bat ask you one simple question. How are you a therapist at 28 years old? Like how did you get there?
Honestly, just perseverance. I mean, just continuing. I graduated at 17 years old at high school. Then right after that, I went straight to a 4-year college. I got a full ride scholarship. I ended up in Omaha, Nebraska. So random.
Let me ask you,
So random.
what high school did you go to?
I went to Shadow Hills. I was the first full 4-year class there at Shadow. So when the school barely opened up, yeah. So it was like a 4-year, we were the first 4-year, freshman to senior. So I went to Shadow Hills, graduated there, and then I went to Omaha, Nebraska. I got a full ride scholarship for basketball.
Wow. And how?
Well, you play basketball on top of
I
it.
played basketball.
What?
Yes, I play basketball. I've been playing since I was 6 years old. So, and now I coach at CV High School.
So before 6 years old, what were you doing sports before that?
No, I just started playing basketball, volleyball. I also did boxing.
Oh.
And
Wow, look at you, the sports person. So you're a psychiatrist that can kick butt.
That is fabulous. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you have any siblings? Are you a single child? Or you do?
Yeah, so I'm the oldest. I have a brother who we're all Rays. So I'm Raylene, my brother is Ray, and my sister's Raina.
Talk
Oh, I
about
love
intentional.
it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So my brother's 22, and my sister's turning 18 next month.
But you're the oldest one.
I'm the oldest.
Shout out to the older
Yes,
kids. I mean,
shout out
we
to
really
Setting an
go
example.
We
through
hold it down.
We really are. Oh, we're all the firstborn.
I'm
Yes.
the first.
Oh
one.
yeah. Oh yeah.
No, yeah.
We always get put in
You guys
sports, and
know
you
for
better
sure.
do it.
We dealt with it from our parents for sure.
This is coming from a psychiatrist, just so you guys know. Okay. What is the difference between a psychiatrist and a therapist?
So, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. So I offer therapy for everyone. If it's children, teenagers, adults, elderly, couples, families, all of the above. Psychiatrists are actually able to prescribe medication. So
Okay.
that's the difference. Is a psychiatrist is actually a different ranking in the sense where they have more of a medical background rather than clinical. Therapist is more clinical therapy, and psychiatrist has a medical component.
And I also know that the main one that you focus on is the eating disorders, right?
Yes, so eating disorders is a specialty of mine.
Oh, can you tell us about that more?
Yeah. Eating disorders are now just recently have the second highest mortality rate in all mental illness. So even it just got passed by opioid use. So opioids now have the highest mortality rate, but eating disorders is second, which means that eating disorders are really dangerous because it's not only affecting your mental health, but it's also affecting your physical health. So a lot of, there's a different diagnosis of eating disorders, and there's anorexia, bulimia, ARFID, binge eating disorder, and etc. Thankfully, more and more now, there's more of an awareness about eating disorders.
Right.
But I'm talking about, especially because of the emphasis of social media now.
Yeah.
And the plastic surgery and all the different...
The AI models that I recently learned that they're not real.
Yeah, AI. Jeez. Yeah.
Well, I mean, AI was gonna come anyways. Well, before we move more into what you do today, just to get to know a little more about you in the past. So, what was your growing up like?
Yeah. So I come from a big family. A lot of my family just having different difficulties throughout life. My dad wasn't on the best path growing up, and he had to, just like a lot of people within our community having to kind of fend for themselves, helping out their parents, financially, things like that. And so my parents really were able to offer me a different life, and have had to make sacrifices for themselves for the sake of me and my siblings. So I grew up in Coachella, born and raised. Technically I was born in Desert Regional in Palm Springs, but I've lived in Coachella all my life. Coachella that's my home. Growing up, being the eldest, having to just kind of pave the way, and knowing that my siblings are looking at me, cousins. I was the first in my family to go to college.
Wow.
And so that was a huge thing. My parents really pushed that on me. They were really, all about my grades and making sure that I was in sports and making sure that I was, on the right path. And so I actually went to school, Coachella School District, and then once I went to Shadow Hills High School, I kind of left all my friends from Coachella and went to Shadow Hills. But, my parents just kind of wanting a different life for me.
Why Shadow Hills? Yeah, why Shadow Hills?
I think it's just like my parents went to CV. So like my grandparents went to CV, Coachella Valley High School. But I think they just wanted a different route for me. Academically, academically there was just more opportunity, more at Shadow Hills. And so just giving me a space where I can really thrive. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and then you did sports in high school. So you had what was Shadow Hills
The coach?
nemesis? No, the team that they would have.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
of
who
course.
was your... Okay, so I grew up in LA. So we had Santa Fe High School, where I went to Santa Fe High School. And so there's a team that we'd always be like, oh, that's the team we got.
Yeah, for us was Cat City,
like
Palm Springs High.
Yeah, who was your rival?
Okay. Well, since it was first, we were the first. We had the school just opened up.
Okay.
So it was like kind of our rival was kind of like started becoming a little bit of Rancho Mirage because they had opened up as well. So the two new schools. Yeah. But I would say now it's kind of, it just depends on the sport.
That's fun. Yeah, it's true, right? Yeah.
It depends because, like, if you're in basketball, it's usually these two schools that are back to back, and always, But not every sport across the board of a school are all good, Yeah. So it just depends on the sport.
I just really like those rivalries. They kind of make, when you're in high school, they kind of make it like pump you up to go against this one school. You're like, you kind of give into the whole.
It's hilarious because so I graduated in 2012 in Palm Springs High School, and back in my days, Cat City football team, the football team, nothing else. The football team was like our rival in our team. And I know water polo and swimming was Palm Desert. Like you're right. They all have, like, every sport has a different school team that
it just depends. Yeah.
So your parents, so I'm assuming you're Latina. I don't know that. Okay.
Well, I'm Chicana.
You're Chicana. So your parents were born here.
Yes.
And then you're the first generation of that first generation.
Yes.
Got it. And where did they originally come from?
Actually, I don't know. My grandma actually just passed 2 weeks ago, I believe. She was 97 years old.
Wow.
And my dad was actually talking to her and trying to get some information, Well, she's actually from Texas. So she's from Texas, and so on my dad's mom's side, they have her and her parents are from Mexico.
Okay.
But they're from Valle Hermosa.
Oh,
Villahermosa.
Villahermosa. Oh,
Or
Villahermosa.
Villahermosa or no?
Okay.
It's some, I don't know, Valle or Villa, but and then my dad's side is from Texas, so
Gotcha.
it's like
Because
some
Villahermosa is
families-
usually Jalisco.
okay.
Or so I associate it with
I
that.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's Valle or.
So as far as your roots are concerned, you only know kind of the history of your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So were they always here in the valley, or did they come from like LA, or?
No, they were here from the valley. I'm here from the valley. My dad's mom moved over here from Mexico when she was 15 years old.
Okay.
To be with my grandpa.
Wow.
Yeah, so they got married at like 16 years old. And yeah, so, you know, and then my grandpa's side is from Texas. My mom's dad is from Calexico.
Okay.
And her mom is from Mexico. I don't even know where though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. It's always interesting to get to know someone's roots. You kind of, I've come through the podcast, I've come to learn that we share a lot of each culture, even though we're all different cultures, we all share similarities.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear kind of like that history, right? Because we're only a carbon copy of the ones before us.
Right.
You could kind of say we're just the living relatives left from the
Yeah.
early past. But 97, wow.
97.
97. What do you do at 97 years old?
Hey.
What have you seen?
My grandma passed away around that age too.
Yeah.
Back in 2014 as well. So she had a long life.
A long life.
Long life.
A long life. And she's, I mean, if you think about how much she's witnessed, that
Right.
has changed. I mean, me, I'm 28 years old and I can think of how much things are different from when I was in high school versus now. Now hers, you're talking decades of change.
Well, so you're 28. Okay, let's assume you're rolling into your 3 decades, right? I'm 34. I have 3 decades in a few years. And Steph is 30,
I'm 30.
30, so 3 decades. But let me tell you something.
Period, yeah.
In this 3 decades, we've seen so much. I mean, just you know, I'm not gonna go through all the natural disasters we've gone through, but just think about the pandemic alone. For one thing, it's like we've gone through some things even at our age that like when we hit 60, 70s, people are gonna be like, "Wow, you remember when?" Wow, it's just insane because that wasn't like recent either, right?
Yeah.
It was recent. Anyways, all right, awesome. Well, it looks like this is the great point to put in our first commercial. So hit it. Did you hear that we're affiliated with Amazon?
The New Mindset's bringing you products you can find on Amazon using our storefront. Here is our new creative director, Melissa, giving us a quick sneak peek of hers. Go ahead.
When they say that you can find anything on Amazon, they're not kidding. Find our link on our official Instagram page, The New Mindset OTCB.
For all your items A to Z, Amazon is there for you. Now let's get back to the show.
And now we're back.
Yes. So, Raylene, we love hearing about your past, but let's hear about your present. So, what do you do now?
So I actually I'm in a transition period right now.
Oh.
Very fresh. I was a clinical director for eating disorders where I worked for over 3 years, and my last day there was on the 6th of this month, and so now I'm rolling very recent. So I'm now rolling into my private practice. So, you know, creating something that's my own, it's crazy to think about because
You're
I mean, you
an
think,
entrepreneur.
yeah,
now.
you think of, you know, oh, like I can't wait till I do this, you know. But a lot of people don't understand the time and the hours that are put in to get to a place where you can have your own.
Right.
Boy, you could say that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
There's a lot that goes into it. You know, I got my master's, and then for my master's, I had to complete 3,000 hours of therapy, you know, doing therapy. And then I had to take 2 different tests.
Did you publish a thesis?
No.
Okay.
So there are 2 different tests. So there's a law and ethics test, and then there's also it's a clinical exam. So you're basically like, it's a 4-hour test, and it's timed, and you have to complete that. And then of course there's the business stuff, right? Your business license and your all the marketing and all that stuff, you know. So
what marketing?
What marketing? Yeah, right.
Oh man, brought to you by Level 111 Studio.
So from the clinical director position, you were able to gain experience, and you were there for 3 years.
Over 3 years,
Over 3 years. And now you are your own entrepreneur. for the therapist of eating disorders.
Yeah.
And tell me about how it feels now for you of being your own entrepreneur, having your own business now,
Being your own boss.
and being your own boss. Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's a blessing. I mean, like I said, it's really kind of overwhelming in a good way to feel that this is the present. And imagining when I used to tell like my parents and share with my friends or like people that were close to me, this is a dream that I want to have my own practice. You know, I want to be able to create something that's my own. I've had experience working at the school district. I've worked for the probation department.
Wow.
I've worked for the Boys and Girls Club, and then also, you know, clinically directing the eating disorder programs. And so all that experience, being able to take things that I like and not take things that I didn't like, and just create my own space for
Fantastic.
people, and being able to do it for the Coachella Valley is really important
Yes.
to me, because
Yes.
growing up, I remember in high school, everyone was like, oh, I can't wait to get out of the valley. I can't wait to get out of the valley. And for me, and it's because everyone's like, there's nothing in the valley. There's nothing in the valley. And I'm like, well, then create something, you know?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I can't,
agree.
I would not feel okay to be able to leave my community knowing that I can do something for.
That is so funny. You're right. Everybody wants to leave. I was one of those kids. Okay, like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
I still want a home in San Diego. Okay,
Yeah.
I still want a house there, but I will still be here.
Yeah.
I came to the valley and I didn't leave it. I found what I was looking for, not knowing I was looking for it.
Yeah.
Whoa, write that down.
Yeah.
Make a shirt.
How long have you been here?
Me, I've been here about 9 or 10 years now, I think.
Oh wow, okay.
So the past 10 years I've been here.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't have family here.
No?
So when I came here by myself.
Okay.
And I've had to figure it out as I've been
Yeah.
here. Which, I mean, if you think about it, they say, I don't know if you've heard this one, they say that you find what surrounds you anywhere you go. So
That is true.
I feel like if I go from here to Oregon, completely different state, I might have to adapt to the rules and regulations.
Right.
But if I wanted to start a podcast in Oregon, then you know, why not? What stops me from it? Now I know how to do it.
Right.
What really stops you from recreating what's successful to you?
Right.
The only thing that stops you, as I've come to understand, is you.
Yeah.
Well, it's recognizing like what was placed inside you is everywhere you go. You know, and that's the thing, is like starting my own practice and in this transition period, this season, that's been really the beauty in it, is being able to recognize, because you know, there's like a lot of questions and it's something new and it's like some doubts, you know, we're human. It's like, well, am I going to do this right? Am I, you know?
Yeah.
And just recognizing and bringing yourself back to knowing you have everything that you need. The vision was placed in you. Now you get to go birth it and you get to create your own thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree. I want to ask you, what made you want to become a therapist? Like, what made you want to pursue the profession that you have right now?
You know, Jose, you were talking about earlier, just like, you know, upbringing and things like that. Just recognizing that there's so much healing that hadn't been done from generation to generation, you know, and we are born and all the generations before us, there's some baggage.
They've gone through it.
You know,
Yeah.
And so being able to witness that at a young age, my dad had played a huge part in me deciding and pursuing to be a therapist. He is a director at the Mecca Boys and Girls Club, and he does a lot of mentorship for the young kids, and essentially kind of
Is he still there?
yeah,
What's his name?
Ray Amador.
Ray Amador, guys. Shout out to him.
Yes, yeah, and he's working with school district too at the Desert Mirage High School and helping out the young kids,
that's
the young
awesome.
boys. He offers mentorship for the young boys. So for him, he does unofficial therapy, you know.
Okay.
And for him, seeing him, you know, at a young age, working with families and individuals, but then he would tell me, baby, like I can only help them so much because I don't have the education, you know. So then he has to refer them out and he has to try and give them resources. But it was kind of sad because you imagine talking to him and you build a relationship with him, and then it's like, oh, you know what, Jose, I'm sorry, but let me refer you to this person because I don't have legally or ethically the education to back up me being able to continue to treat you or help you out, you know. So I didn't want there to be any walls that I ran into. I didn't want there to be I didn't want to have to say, hey, I'm sorry, I can only help you up to this point.
Yeah.
And, you know, let me refer you out. I wanted to be that source. I wanted to be that resource. And so my dad really pushed me to, baby, you go to school and you do everything you need to so no one can ever tell you no. And no one can ever set a limit on what you can do. So that really pushed me, and now being able to, you know, I think a lot of times there's a lot of stigma around therapy, you know, in the Hispanic culture, and I remember when I first talked to my family, and you know, we're talking about being a therapist, it was kind of like, Mia, why do you want to do that, you know? Like, no, like we don't talk about things, we don't, you know, we put it under the rug and we just keep it going like it's nothing.
Yeah, and sometimes the Latino culture can be a little bit like that.
Yeah, and so and there's a lot of different cultures like that too, and just, you know, nationally just wanting to change that and talking about the relatability, you know, being able to say, hey, like, I'm a real person, just come talk to me, you know. It doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be like there's a label on it, you're not crazy if you come talk to a therapist. No, you're bettering yourself, you're helping yourself,
and you're getting help, and you're communicating, because communication is key toward any relationship. And sometimes I feel like people, you know, miss that. So I think therapy is super helpful, and what you're doing is amazing.
Well, think about it like this. If everyone were to really talk about the things that hurt them, or really about the things that have impacted them, or if everyone were to do that and actually release that, how much better the world would be.
Of course.
You know, how much better everyone would be in every aspect of your life. We have so many different aspects of our lives. Like, we have us as a person, in our jobs, as a parent, as a sibling, as a whatever, a friend, all these different dimensions, and we want to be our best self in all of those, you know. So.
What would you say is to our listeners that probably have never gone to a therapist? They probably never have even thought of talking to somebody just to be heard. I think sometimes just being heard helps.
Listen.
But to our listeners, wherever they are in the world, what would you tell them is a good first step into getting the mental help that they need, whether they're here in the Coachella Valley or elsewhere? What's the first real step?
Well, I'd say, but I think that there's a lot of contemplation and thinking about, should I see someone, should I not? I think initially thinking about the fact that you even have that thought that maybe I should see somebody already says something and really speaks to maybe where you're at. I always tell clients or tell people who might be looking into, you know, seeing a therapist is, what's the contrary? You know, if you've been doing something for so long and it's not working and it's not getting you anywhere and you're not feeling better, then what do you have to lose to just check it out? You know, just try it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't like it, then you don't have to do it anymore.
Right.
So the first step, kind of logistically, is if you have insurance, I'd say you'd reach out to your insurance and you see if there's any providers that they list for you to see in the area. If you don't have insurance, then there's a lot of resources that will help you to be able to obtain therapy. There's cash pay. There's also sliding scales. So say if there's a cash pay rate and you can't pay for that, then there's sliding scales that are offered. There's different resources out there that can help you. And the thing about it is that once you call, then they'll help you lead you through each step. They'll help you through each step. You don't have to do it alone. I am here also to answer any questions of how what that process looks like. You essentially give your information. If you have insurance, if you don't have insurance, then you fill out the registration packet. You know, you put your information on there, and then you schedule the first appointment, and you just see how it goes. the thing is a lot of people don't understand that a therapist and a client relationship is like a relationship. So you have to find the best fit for you. There's all kinds of therapists out there. I might not be the best fit for someone that is dealing with whatever it is, but I might know somebody that is, you know, or I might be able to reach people that other therapists can't. So everyone has their preferences. Some people prefer a younger therapist. Some people prefer an older therapist. Some people prefer a girl, female, whatever it is. So just finding what's best for you, but don't be scared. You don't have anything to lose.
Take the first step.
Take the first step.
That's awesome. I honestly, that's tough, right? They say that taking that first step is always the hardest.
And
the first one's always the hardest.
The age groups. Like the older you get, I see that a lot of older adults think just because they're a certain age, that's all they can ever be, and they think like, oh, I don't need that, and they say, oh, when you're younger, it's a little bit easier.
Yep.
So what do you think of that? Have you had older patients that has been more challenging than a teenager or like a young adult?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's really making that choice to want to break whatever it is that you're trying to break. Now, when you have older clients, you know, I have treated clients in their, I think the oldest client that I treated was in her 70s.
70s? Around there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more difficult in the sense that, you know, they have so much patterns that they've been used to their whole life, you know, and it goes either way. I mean, some of them get to that point, they're like, you know what, I'm tired and I want something different. And then there's times that it's like, why do I gotta change this about myself? You know, it's all that I've been used to for all this time.
Right.
So it's really just case by case, you know. I feel like it just really depends on your willingness and kind of the headspace that you're going in with therapy. Are you in contemplation where you're like, I don't really know, I'm gonna kind of weigh it out and see what I want to do, you know? Are you open to receiving those tools to become better, you know? And so it's I think each population has its own
way of doing.
Yeah, and just, you know, challenges, pros and cons, and, you know, it really is just individual based.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Raylene, before we move forward, let's cut to the next commercial. And when we come back, we're going to ask you about some tips and tricks.
Tips and tricks.
Yeah, why not? All right, here we go. Commercial. This commercial spot could be yours. The New Mindset of the Coachella Valley is broadcast throughout Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and all your favorite podcast stations. For more information, don't forget to reach us at The New Mindset OTCV on Instagram or The New Mindset OTCV at gmail.com.
And now we're back.
Yes. So, Raylene Amador, I'm going to ask you a question. Just answer it as politely as you can.
As mean.
As mean as you. So, in talking about where you're going, so obviously you have your practice. Is it already up and running, or are you still working on it?
It is up and going. I am offering virtual sessions, and I also offer in-person sessions.
And so, I guess my question to you is this. So, when looking into the future and what's coming to you, do you have a base of clients, or do people just come to you?
Both. So it's some of them are word of mouth, like, oh, I heard from Jose that you're a really good person, and I've been looking for a therapist. Referral. And, you know, referral based, it can be, you know, even they find me. So I'm on different sites, like Psychology Today and my website and things. So some of them find me. So you go on Psychology Today is kind of like where you find a therapist, and you can see their bios and their pictures, and you can say, hey, I like this person, and, like, you know, book an appointment. But yeah, so some of it, honestly, all of the above. It can be referral based. It can be they come find me. Yeah. You know, it can be, someone said that they saw you as you were the therapist, and they really liked you and recommended me to.
Hey, someone heard you on The New Mindset. Maybe you should come.
Yeah, New Mindset was the plug. Yes.
Just, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
So would you say? So now let me ask you, because I do want to see if there's any. I know you had a mentor, more than likely. And your mentor must have given you some words of wisdom. What were your mentor's words of wisdom that stuck with you?
That stuck with me was to I mentioned it a little bit earlier, that everything that I have and everything that I need is in me, and the vision that was placed in me, having the confidence and having the strength, the power in a sense to go out and do that. Take the risk. Take the risk. I think that, she would tell me she always tells me to first pray about it, and making sure that I'm never moving off of my emotions, and I'm clear-headed and I'm grounded and I know what it is that I want. There's no limit. And so not limiting myself, not being afraid of what that would look like or the timeline. Now, let me tell you this. This is an inside scoop, okay?
Okay.
So on 2 weeks before the 6th, I gave my resignation, right? October 6th, I completed my last day.
Right.
I had no job lined up.
Right.
I didn't have my last clinical exam scheduled until October 14th.
Wow.
So the test I took on the 14th was either going to be a hit or miss, because if I didn't pass it, then I couldn't start my own practice.
Right.
Okay.
So I just took the risk, took a leap of faith, and believed that I was going to pass the test, and believe that it was just everything was going to fall into place.
Right.
So I essentially quit my job without a job, for sure in place. I have bills to pay, I didn't know if I was going to pass the test or not. There's a lot of people who don't pass on their first time. It's a very intensive test. It's a 4-hour test. It's a time test.
Wow.
I had to drive out of town to take it, so there was a lot of adversity essentially, because if you think about it, Raylene, you quit your job and you didn't even have a job lined up.
Yeah.
You have bills to pay. You don't know when. I didn't know the next time I was going to have income coming in.
Yeah.
Here we are, 3 weeks later? 3 weeks later? And I'm barely going to, I'm still in the beginning stages.
You took the chance.
But I took the chance, and it all is working out.
You were an alchemist. You were like, I'm going to manifest this.
Yeah, I just
did it.
had the faith, and I believed that I wouldn't have that vision of having my practice, and I wouldn't have the goal of that if it wasn't meant to happen.
And it sounds to me like it was a little bit of your determination and a little bit of timing.
Yeah.
Because it sounds that it was way more planned, because obviously you knew you had to take a test. You knew you had to get out of town.
Yeah, but it was also scary because it was hit or miss.
Yeah,
it's like you're like, okay, I'm taking a chance right now.
I'm
nervous. I'm nervous. And you're just kind of like, okay, let's go. Let's see.
It was a free fall. Yeah.
Great keyword.
It was a free fall. And it just happened.
And sometimes those are the best stories, in my opinion, and it works out.
And just like a cat, you landed on your feet.
Yeah. And the thing is I'm very independent, I pay all my bills. I'm not married. I don't have someone. I couldn't say, hey, honey, can you help keep me afloat a little bit with the bills until I get up and going? No. And as you guys know, you got to put money into a start of a business too.
Yeah.
So,
you don't say.
So it all works out. And I didn't allow myself to stress it or doubt it, just wholeheartedly, if I'm going to believe it, then I'm going to believe it all the way.
Fantastic. So would you say that law of attraction is how you did it, or is it something else?
I'd say that I
think you just saw the vision. You were scared, but you went for it because you already saw the vision and you put it out there.
Yeah.
And I believe in that. I certainly believe in that. Like, if you can see it and you see yourself as that's me, and you already have it in your mind, and that's magic right there. You did it.
I didn't know the ins and outs and the details of it. I didn't know, and even there's still some things that I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that vision was placed in me, and I believed it and I trusted. I trusted and I had faith. I had faith that it was
Absolutely.
going to work out. And
That's
that
great.
all the pieces, even if I didn't know from point A to B,
It would
that
align.
it would all align and it would be all exactly, perfectly, imperfectly the way it would go.
That's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes of the person you are
Yes.
and where you came from, because obviously you I mean, if you think about it, your whole life has been part of that same process, right?
Yeah.
You went to a school that was barely starting. Your parents put you in there and you made the best out of it. You went to all these games against rivals and not rivals, and you came up top. And
Well,
then,
State.
leaving as the first one, and,
Of course.
you know, as the first one in my family, and to go to a different state, you know, by myself, that was a lot, and you know, I faced a lot of adversity in college too. And
What
there
was the
like,
university you went to?
It was called Grace University.
in Nebraska.
In
In Nebraska, yeah. And so, you know, there's a lot of adversity, but my family is a huge part of just the mindset I have, and God being a huge part of just how I move. And I wouldn't be here without that foundation, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
And do you feel now that, well, so now you live here in the Valley again, right? And so do you live alone or do you live with your parents still?
No, I live by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you in your home do you have what are they called? Have you ever heard of dream journals? So that's something that we just talked about with our last guest. A dream journal is just a journal where you write all the goals that you want to accomplish.
It's kind of like
okay.
it's kind of like a little bucket list.
Oh, yeah.
Or like when people, I've heard of this, when people paint or put like pictures. This is where I am. Like this is how it's gonna be.
That's my journaling. I have a line of journals that I've written in from
Okay.
middle school up until now.
We keep finding that with successful people, there is a track of that. That's fantastic that you continue that
I
track.
have journals full completed, and I go to the next journal and I write. And each and every some of them are listed goals. Some of them are a journal entry, like me writing out my day and my challenges and things that come up.
Wow.
Yeah, journaling is a huge coping skill that I use, and one that I encouraged a lot of my clients to use too.
Fantastic.
You know, just tending to your need, because I think a lot of times we ignore certain aspects of our life and we're just whatever. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to work or occupational health, you know, so many people go a lot of time without taking sick days or vacation time, or you know, or they're in workspaces that aren't the best.
No,
or
the environment is horrible.
the environment is horrible, you know. And so then a lot of times people are like, "Wow, how are you?" And then, "Oh, well, I'm good, you know, I don't know, like I could be better, I don't really know what could be better." Okay, we'll do a scan and it'll tell you exactly. I think a lot of times people, when we don't have that balance in every aspect of our life, it causes imbalance, and you might not be able to recognize pinpoint exactly what it is.
It's like when people say, "I don't even know why I feel like this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's times, kid you not, Jose, I will be driving,
Oh, make it good.
randomly
Make it really
start
good.
crying. Randomly start crying.
You know what? I do that sometimes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so then I'll be like, "Girl, why are you crying?"
I say something, girl. Why? Why are you crying? And I answer. You know?
Yeah, no,
I don't know if I should.
and I'll say, you know, like, "Girl, why are you crying?" Like, actually, today wasn't too much of a bad day. Then if I can really reflect and really be intentional and think about, you know what, wow, something actually happened last week that I just pushed aside and bottled up. And it comes up. It's going to come out somewhere.
Right. It just kind of kicks in, right?
It's gonna come out. Especially with tears. They're actually toxins that congest our body. So
here
when
in the chest.
when it congests our body. So when we don't release those tears to the toxins, it actually congests our body. So then that's when there's an uncomfortability. Our body somatically responds to how we're feeling emotionally.
That is so true. I do a lot of meditation on my own and chakra alignments on my own, and there are times where I like you said, the congestions, and I feel it in some parts of my body, and the emotional parts, like here in the chest, like in the throat. And they say it's because the throat, you're not able to speak out what you're really trying to mean, or what you're trying, or your needs, right? So all those congestions, like, oh my gosh, this feels like I'm choking.
Yeah.
That pressure. So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, there's a lot of I mean, our bodies are so connected with our minds and emotions. You know?
I do. Yeah, I do. Gosh, if I understand that. I mean, I'll tell you. I think part of it is understanding. Yes, part of it is understanding your feelings, and the other part of it is just letting those feelings go sometimes, and they come out in the form of tears.
Well,
for some people,
yourself
it's something.
Permission to understand
permission.
your feelings.
Absolutely.
You know, the
Absolutely.
permission, because
Such a strong word, and it's so much meaning behind it. Actually.
permission, because people don't think that it's like, oh, I'm too busy, I can't deal with that right now, or whatever. And it's like, well, where did that get our ancestors? You know, just pushing things aside all the time. You know, it's a bad habit.
So, as we move on to the last part of this conversation, which I'm loving, I'm realizing that we are going to need a part 2. Welcome to season 2 of the New Mindset. We are doing parts of a series because we've come to know that our guests have quite a story, and we love talking to you. But let's cut into our last commercial, and when we come back, we're going to do a quick few notes with Ms. Raylene Amador. Hit it! The New Mindset of the Coachella Valley is happy to bring you Embracing Your Needs Home Care by Jasmine. It's a new company here in the Valley, and we are visited by the owner. Tell us a bit about it.
Hi guys, it's Jasmine from Embracing Your Needs Home Care. What I focus on is elderly care, childcare, and companionship. You can reach me by email at eynbyjasmine@gmail.com.
Don't forget to check us out on Instagram for even more information. And now back to the show.
And now we're back. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, guys. So, Raylene, just to touch down on the past few notes, I've gotten so much from you. I will cry more to myself in my car.
There you go. Release
Continue
tears,
asking
baby.
myself, girl, why? And then I'm going to definitely invite you back to come to another session. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so they can find me on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook at Reflect with Ray.
Fantastic.
Yes.
We will make sure to get that on our end as well, so you can see all of that we do for you. I want to say thank you for taking time of your day, which sounds like a very busy day, to come in here and just show up and share with us some stories.
Yeah, thank you so much for being you and sharing your story. Like, honestly, it's one of my favorites.
Now, I am going to ask you for an exercise, but here's the tea.
Yeah.
We are actually going to show this on our YouTube channel as shorts.
Okay.
So all of you listening, don't forget to follow the New Mindset OTCV of the Coachella Valley on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Apparently we have a Facebook. Don't forget to tune in, and you guys check out all the behind the scenes in our YouTube channel. The shorts are about to get quite exclusive. Please make sure you're checking that out so you guys aren't missing any of the content. Madam, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for everything you do. Continue doing it. This Coachella Valley is something you're going to benefit from it, right?
Yes. Thank you
you
very
guys.
much for tuning in,
Fantastic.
you guys.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Have a good one. Bye.